YouTube's my favorite. Instagram's my second. But everyone's on Instagram, right? So we're going to start with IG first. And IG is filled with a bunch of different things. But one of my main takeaways I wanted to say to y'all was you got to give your platforms a purpose and set a clear vision for why you're on each platform that you're on. And your strategies for how you interact, engage, including the creative, might be and should be tailored differently for each. That doesn't mean you got to create necessarily all new content. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But Instagram is filled with all of these beautiful ways that y'all can use it to connect. We're going to go through all of these. You're going to want to take notes. Obviously, I cannot put everything on the screen. So I'm going to go through each parts of Instagram specifically, why they're important, a little bit more of how to use them, and just some gems for each of these. So I'm going to start with, feed posts. So I'm going to start with feed posts / carousels. So this is usually what I post. I love my feed posts. I love my carousels. Feed posts are still a great way to reach audiences. I have seen people build accounts into the, tens of thousands and more just off feed posts and carousels and not really using a heavy mix of reels. So they can be super valuable. They are super valuable. When I build out organic strategies for my clients, we use a mix of everything on the platform because they do connect differently. Feed posts and carousels are going to be good for things such as those curated photo dumps that we're seeing. I love those. I highly recommend those. Carousels are also good for educational content, resources. Those are really where you'll see the multi-slide carousels that you can swipe through. I love them. Y'all should definitely be using them, and I know many people are. As you know, Reels is still what IG is prioritizing right now. So Reels is still top priority for the platform. We know in 2024, short form is all the rage for a reason. Y'all, if you don't have Reels heavily mixed into your creative strategy, video, short form, it needs to be. Every single platform is prioritizing them now. So Reels are still going to be the way that y'all can reach non-followers and truly grow. So Reels are great for reach. They're great for reaching non-followers, people who don't follow you already, and folks love video creative. In terms of Reels, I've seen people have success with Reels of all different lengths. So there is no hard and fast rule for how long your Reels need to be. I have a whole slide on creative is the catalyst for a reason, because there are some people who do really well with, 15 to 30 second Reels. But I have seen people that do extremely well with a minute Reels, a minute 30 Reels, because they have high quality engaging content that people will watch from start to finish. So if you don't feel like that's you just yet, my recommendation is do some Reels that are a little bit shorter, because the goal is if you want Instagram to push your creative out to a wider audience, you have to increase your watch time. So if you cannot even hook them in that first 3 seconds to get them to watch more, I would not recommend putting out a minute long Reel. I would start with something between 20, 30 seconds and test that out and build from there. So that's just Reels in particular. DMs and stories, y'all. DMs and stories is where the magic happens. That's where fan bases, communities are built. So IG is really focusing back on being a platform that is focused on community and engagement. And IG stories and DMs are such a cool way for y'all to not just say thank you to somebody, but ask questions, get to know people, get to know your audience, get to know your fans. If you're not really utilizing IG stories and DMs as a way to authentically connect and to really deepen those existing relationships with your audience, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I'm going to probably say it's probably part of the reason why you feel like your engagement is lacking. We're going to get into social being social in a second, but DMs do matter. And not just, I'm talking about really trying to get to know people. Whether you're an artist that's connecting with their fans, sending hey, take out an hour a week, send some DMs to everyone that followed you. I have told so many people to do this. And let me tell you, because I do it, I have built so many freaking relationships via DM. Clients, business opportunities, brand partnerships, DMs. So y'all use the DMs. You guys should be interacting with your audiences via DMs. It's important. IG stories are such a fun time. I love IG stories so much. So a lot of people don't know with stories is there are so many different tools that they gave you on stories for y'all to use. And as I do my research on social, I see so many people who don't use stories effectively to their advantage. So I had some notes. Let me see. For stories specifically, that I want to make sure that I touch. But for stories specifically, there's different parts of the stories platform that y'all are going to pay attention to. And as I'm going through Instagram, as you can see, you can't just be like, oh, I posted on Instagram. That's it. There is a whole platform, and each part of this platform, there are different strategies you have to use. You have to learn how to use all of these different parts. And it takes some time to like really figure this stuff out. So stories, if you're not using things like engagement polls, question boxes, what else is on there? Add your own music. There are so many different parts of stories that should be used for you to connect with your audiences. I get it. A lot of people just will repost like, oh, a reel or post to their stories or post a whole bunch of other things. But if you're not using your IG stories as a way to connect with your close supporters, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And like I said, IG story engagement is important for your overall Instagram growth. So please, y'all, use some of these features, test them out. If you've never used a question box or a poll or a way to get more insight from your audiences, I highly recommend you try. IG stories also has customizable link stickers. So if you are an artist, creative brand that is driving to your own channels, that is a way to do it via stories. Stories is where the selling actually happens on Instagram. So we don't have, like, we'll get into TikTok next, TikTok shop, cool. But for Instagram, stories is where a lot of the social selling is happening, whether you are driving them to your website to check out your merch or show tickets. I had a link story today that drove y'all here. Stories do matter in the different parts of IG stories. So pull up your phones, go on stories later, take a look at all those beautiful tools that they give y'all to use in them and test a few out, come back and let me know. But if y'all want engagement, you have to use the tools at your disposal, and Instagram gives them to you. So what else did I go over? IG Live. IG Live is underrated and not utilized enough, in my opinion, by most people that I see. And I live and breathe social. I'm on it probably way too much. That's healthy, but I'm here. I'm going through stories. I'm looking. Even some of the people that I follow, I'm like, y'all don't ever use live. And I know going live can be uncomfortable. Not everyone feels comfortable with that. But as I said, social is meant to be social. And for those in the channels, artists especially are heavily in my network. You got to give your fans a place where they can connect with you. Even if that's just going live during you recording something in the studio and they can just listen. I don't care how many times I got to listen to the same fucking take. Put it on live, go press go and go in the booth and do your thing. Go live during your show performance. Why not? There are so many different ways you can go live without you having to feel like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to say. That's fine. Go live at some point of time where you're doing something cool, where you know your audience, your fans, or your supporters might want to see and tune in. And the cool thing is, you don't got to go live forever. You can go live for 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Just check in once a week. But these are just different parts of the platform on Instagram that y'all can use to connect.